Hello, 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 hello.
All righty, sports fans, welcome on in. Is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Of course, proud to be a part of the Utah ESPN radio network, and so happy to be a part of the show. I'm not Sean O'Connell. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today. We'll be here today and tomorrow. Sean is off. I believe he's calling professional fights. So does a great job with that. And of course, he does a great job with the show. It's always an honor, always a pleasure to be with you here today. If you miss any part of our show, don't worry about it because you can get it anywhere. That's the great thing about our world today. Technology is incredible. So you can download it as a podcast. You can listen to it live on ESPN700sports.com. You can listen to it on the ESPN 700 app or anywhere that you get your podcasts. We're also on YouTube. So at ESPN 700 Sports Utah on YouTube. Fun show today, as always. And I always love to talk about sports. Of course, we're 16 days until the start of the football season where Utah is at UCLA in the Rose Bowl, 9 p.m. on Fox. So you don't want to miss that. Of course, the Sean O'Connell Show is brought to you proudly by Big Willie's Sports Bar in Salt Lake. From craft food to craft cocktails, they are the sports bar. Check them out today, 1717 South Main Street. 31 days of football brought to you by Baskin Robbins. Great football conversation Monday through Friday, covering, of course, the Utes, Big 12, and the NFL. And as we close in on the start of the football season, we'll have classic calls every Saturday at 12 leading up to the season opener. Next one is the Baylor game from last September. Okay, so we're going to start this show, start the segment. There were just some headlines, some things that just caught my attention that I think are an awesome part of sports. Maybe not necessarily, I don't know, it's just part of what makes it fun. Part of what makes it different. Of course, we love our football. We love all of our sports, but football is life, and that is starting up soon. We couldn't be more excited, and quite frankly, football camps in the NFL are winding down, which is amazing. They're actually getting into their regular season routines here rather quickly, and so there's still some things, there's still some battles, there's still some stuff that's up for debate. But here's one thing that is not up for debate, and that's the Milwaukee Brewers. I know we're going to talk about football, but we're going to talk about everything. And this was a fascinating story that I came across, of course, on ESPN. uh, that about the Brewers have won 12 straight games in a row. That's what straight means. 12 straight games in a row. And you go, well, what's so big about that? Like, it's not the first time that something like that has ever happened or not happened, but it has happened for the Brewers. Now, they started a tradition a long time ago about winning streaks. And if the team won so many games, everyone got a free hamburger. And like I love those contests when stuff like that happens. I love when people give away free stuff and like I think they give away free haircuts for things at University of Utah football games. I know they give away, don't they, James, give away something for if the other team misses two free throws in a row,
Oh yeah,
they get a
that's
pizza with the Jazz, something
across
like that.
across the NBA. The Jazz is Chick-fil-A. Some of them are. I've
Yeah,
heard Wendy's. I've heard Crumble. Yeah, a
yeah.
lot of it is Chick-fil-A free chicken. That's the loudest the Jazz crowd gets,
Oh
especially the
no,
last couple of years.
that's
Scott,
the whole thing.
it
We go
cracks me up
insane.
every time.
Yes, we go insane for this kind of stuff. Like this is one of the most like you feel like you've won the lottery when your team comes through and you get a free burger. Um and this so they had this thing in Milwaukee for years and they never reached it. I think you had to win 17 games and never got close to that. So they kept lowering it and it's finally got to 12. And they just wanted so everyone I guess gets a free they've given out over 170,000 hamburgers. Or they will actually for this. So this is a big deal. So it's happened 3 times in their history and it just happened and I love that. I actually one time was playing in a celebrity basketball game. And so I was playing in the NFL. One of my teammates actually is Herman Moore, and he played football at the University of Virginia, and so he had a charity that he was involved in, and he had this charity basketball game, which it was really enjoyable, a lot of fun. In fact, Howie Long and why Howie Long came and played in this game, I'll never know. The defensive end or lineman from Villanova, NFL Hall of Famer Howie Long,
Yeah, Raiders
Raiders.
fame, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, as
Howie
a
Long was
player.
playing in this game, and what was surprising was Howie Long was pretty good. Like he was legitimate. I was
Athlete,
like
huh? All right.
I was surprised because most defensive linemen are not good basketball players. They're kind of bruisers, and there was some skill to Howie Long. But they had these stickers on the court, and each one of the stickers had if someone made a shot from that point, there was a certain prize or something that happened. And uh the one that I kept gravitating to as I was playing was a free pizza. So they had a section got a free pizza if a player hit a shot from that spot.
Like full pizza or
A
slice?
pizza.
Wow.
So I kept draining, and these are all 3 pointers, and I was just like on fire. And they were calling the pizza. They're calling me the pizza man. They're just chanting, pizza man, shoot it again. And so I'm playing this game, and I'm just having a ball. It's just really fun. And finally, they said to me, "You can't shoot the pizza shots anymore. We've run out of pizza.
We've given away all the pizza.
We've given it away." So I closed down the pizza shop, which I feel pretty proud of.
Did
And
you ever
but people were going bananas for the free pizza shot, and so I just love these things when you get free stuff.
the free stuff's amazing. Obviously fans love it, and it sounds like when you are the one that gets a chance to give the fans the free thing, the players involved love it too. I know was it John Collins for the Jazz that was all about the Chick-fil-A missed free throws. And
Yes.
Walker Kessler's another one. They
Yeah.
loved,
Yes.
especially when and obviously it's the opposing team that misses. When the home team misses two in a row, they don't give anything away for free. But like players love to give the fans free stuff, even though they're probably not going to get I mean, they get free stuff from so many places,
Right.
but they love to give fans the
Oh,
free
totally.
stuff.
Yes. No, listen, athletes they're the biggest mongers of free stuff in the world. Okay. Like it's like you get all the money you have all the money in the world as an athlete, but you're always getting free stuff. In fact, I think the craziest thing that well, it's not. No, I can't say it's the craziest thing because I saw some crazy things. And some of them I can't even tell you on the air. But um, we had a third string quarterback when I was in Detroit. Kent Graham played at Ohio State. Kent was a funny guy, really funny guy. But he'd played for the Giants, and again, he was the third string quarterback for the New York Giants, and he got clothes sent to him uh, from Ralph Lauren. So
Oh, fancy
like
stuff.
just regular, like
I mean,
polo
regular
shirt, like
stuff, but that's high quality.
and these boxes would show up.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it's kind of a fashion world in New York, and they have these people, and they want the player, they just give them free stuff, and and he was the third string quarterback, like he wasn't even the starter or the backup, and he was getting
I wonder if that was a
no, I'm
team-wide
sorry, it was
thing.
Tommy Hilfiger, that's what
Oh,
it was,
okay.
not Ralph Lauren,
But
Tommy
still,
Hilfiger,
Tommy
but still,
Hilfiger.
yeah, I mean, Tommy pulled my finger, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was amazing. And and I'm just but yeah, the athletes get all the free stuff, and it's not fair. And
Wait,
I'm advocating for the fans, right, to get free stuff, just like the players should get free stuff.
absolutely.
Fans should get it.
You ever seen The Burbs, the Tom Hanks movie?
I have not.
Like a really good older movie, early 90s. Carrie Fisher is in
Yeah.
it as well, plays Tom
Oh,
Hanks'
no,
wife.
doesn't she kind of have a thing for Tom Hanks, but she's married to someone else? Is
I
that
don't
that
know.
movie?
She did pass a few years ago, but
Yes.
I hadn't heard that. But anyway,
No, in the movie,
oh, in the movie,
not
they're
in real
married.
life. No.
Yeah, they're married in the movie.
Yes.
So, but in the Burbs, what's his bucket from the Goonies? One of the kids from the Goonies is like a teenager in the Burbs, and
I've never watched The Goonies.
anyway, he says, we called the pizza dude. And why are you leaving? We called the pizza dude. That's who you were in
I
this
was the
charity
pizza
game.
dude.
You were the pizza dude, getting
Yes.
everyone excited.
Yes.
I told that story
yeah.
just to say pizza dude in his voice. There you go.
Yeah, and you did a nice job too, by
Thank
the
you.
way, James. Yes. Yeah.
Watch the
Now I'm
Burbs
the
if you haven't seen it.
I
By the
like the
way,
pizza
it's a good
dude.
movie.
They call me the pizza man.
Yeah,
Pizza man. So Brandon Woodruff,
he's the Burger Man.
who pitched in the game and who has pitched some really important games for the Brewers, said,
Yeah, they've been
I
in the
was
playoffs a lot
extremely,
lately.
yeah, I was extremely nervous. He goes, I did not want to be the one to lose the burger opportunity for the fans. So there's a lot of pressure on these athletes to
They
come through and
destroyed the
perform.
Pirates, by the way, to get to 12-5. So
Yeah.
it wasn't even that dramatic.
Yes, it was, but it was for the fans.
Yes, it
So
was.
yeah. So the question is, see, the question for me is, do the people actually really show up? Because I think you have to take your like game ticket, or you have to show some identification somehow that
Kind
you
of
were
proof that
actually at
you
the
were
game.
at the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And with
that's
electronic tickets and all that stuff today, I don't know. It seems kind of hard.
that's why I
How they do
think
that.
these food places and these other companies are. I think that's why they're so willing to do it, because I think the percentage of people who were at the game and the percentage of people who end up getting the redeeming their ticket or whatever for the free stuff is way low enough that they're like, we're actually not really losing any money. We're just by
Right.
giving away, because you give away free stuff, you're losing out on revenue opportunity. That's the thing that we don't think about as people who don't own these businesses. So that's part of their calculation. I would think that that's a big reason why they're willing to do it, because they're like, actually, not that many people show up to get the free stuff, so we end up being fine.
But you also are building a customer base. You're
Yeah,
bringing people into your business. Maybe they wouldn't be there. So I'm sure the strategy works, regardless of how, whether it's people. A lot of people don't show up, or All I know is I shot the lights out of the pizza shot that forced them to end the pizza for the night.
That's amazing. Have you been to Milwaukee, by the way, Scott? I've never
I
been.
have. I've had probably one of the worst, best experiences of my NFL career happened in Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
We played the Green Bay Packers. They used to have an agreement with the city of Milwaukee, and they felt like because Milwaukee's the biggest city, and it's not far from Chicago, so it's a
Isn't it like an
large
hour
metro.
drive?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very close. And I think Milwaukee kind of gets a bad rap as being kind of this, I don't know, just it's like almost like Cleveland. It's somehow I think it feels industrial. It feels like, but it's not. It's a great city.
When it's like it's close enough to Chicago that people are like, well,
Right.
it's not Chicago, so it must not be great. Too.
Yeah. And then, but it's pretty. It's on Lake Michigan, all this stuff. And the Green Bay Packers, of course, play in Green Bay, and everyone was like, they really need to come to Milwaukee. I mean, it's a better location.
Yeah.
Green Bay, and trust me, there's a lot of truth to that because a lot of people who are from Milwaukee will drive and go to Packers games in Green Bay. And Green Bay is nothing. I mean, it's no, we have Green Bay, Wisconsin's like Ogden, Utah. Not that Ogden's a bad place. It's just small, I guess is the word. It's not a big city at all. And they had an agreement that they had to play one of their home games in the county stadium, Milwaukee, whatever county stadium.
Yeah.
And I hated it. And so one year when I was in Detroit, we played in that stadium. And so played on a baseball field.
Oh.
And you had both teams on the same sideline because you can't fit the other team on the other sideline. And
was that maybe where the Brewers played at the time? Possibly.
At the time they did, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think they've built a new stadium.
Yeah, they've got it. Yeah.
No longer have the agreement in place. And I think when the Packers kind of got good with Mike Holmgren, Brett Favre, all that, they started to say no, because they hated to go there. Like no one enjoyed it. And there literally was this big. It was like about a 3-foot strip, yellow, like someone put a highlighter marker at the 50-yard line, and you were not allowed to cross the yellow marker. You couldn't go but they were standing right there. Like it was like I could have stood 3 feet from Mike Holmgren as he stood on the sidelines.
Jeez.
And I just thought this is not. It's so hard to
play. You don't have a stadium to play in. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just like it just seemed weird, right?
Yeah.
And this was a game where I broke my wrist. And
totally the stadium's fault.
Yes. So I was done for the season. So that they put me on injured reserve. I broke my wrist. I was out for the rest of the year, which I think was 6 games. I think we had 6 games or something like that left in the season. And it was just one of those it was kind of a freakish accident, really, how my wrist got broke, but an incredible story of how I recovered from that, which I'm not going to share today. It's too long. It's a little personal.
Tease for the down and dirty, or maybe
yeah,
tomorrow's
I
show.
could do it on there. Yeah, why not? I'll tell that.
The reason I ask is I wonder if you'd been to George Webb. That's the restaurant chain that gives away the free burgers.
And apparently they've been around for a long time.
It sounds like they've been around a long time. If I'm ever in Milwaukee, I'm going to definitely have to check it out now.
Now, I equate Milwaukee with 2 things. One of them, my childhood, and that's Laverne and Shirley.
Okay.
You think of Giannis and the Bucks, and I, of course, I don't know. There's just for whatever reason, and I know Milwaukee is a nice place, but it just gets this thing of not being nice. But of Laverne and Shirley, for some reason, I just always, because that's where that hypothetical show was supposed to be based. Was they worked in a brewery in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and so that's my childhood. I know you're much younger than I am, and you probably don't even know what Laverne and Shirley is.
I've heard of it. I have not seen it.
Oh my goodness. Go on one of those retro TV stations, watch Laverne and Shirley reruns. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then
I do love classic sitcoms, so I might actually check it out.
It's a spinoff from Happy Days.
Okay.
So. And then Jeffrey Dahmer, and Jeffrey Dahmer kind of killed it for people. I shouldn't have said killed it.
Phrasing.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
In Milwaukee, so he just ruined it. He ruined it for everyone, literally. So Milwaukee's a tough one. All right, well, let's
Yeah.
move on. Here's one that I just I just think is so cool, and I don't know why. But you have Travis Kelsey, who's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame, winding down his career, and he's dating Taylor Swift, and it looks like they're pretty close because she showed up on his podcast, the New Heights podcast, I believe yesterday,
Yeah.
and she was announcing her new album. Now she has, I have no idea how many fans worldwide. It's got to be, could we say a billion?
Hey, it's
It's in
at
it's in the
least
hundreds of millions of fans.
yeah, at least hundreds of millions. I would
Yeah.
even say venture to say at least a billion fans. She's
Yeah.
the most popular recording artist today.
I think in her like social media, she has like 740 million followers.
Yeah.
So it's just insane. Okay, like that number is just mind-boggling. And she decides this little old tight end from in New Heights, Ohio, went to Cincinnati, and he's now her boyfriend. And so she's announcing her worldwide announcement, which like people are going to go crazy over this album.
Yeah, every time up until this one when she and her team have released the name of her album, released the date when it's going to be released, anything related to a tour or an album for her has always gotten just crazy attention. So
Yeah.
this is unprecedented really for a sports podcast to be involved in something like this.
And so here, like, I know a lot of people are haters and jealous, and they're all of these things, and they're just, and I just think it's cool. I don't know why. I seriously have no idea why I think this is cool, but it's just it. I guess it's because it's so outrageous that it's so
It's unexpected.
improbable that it's so, yeah, it's just a crazy, because you don't release an album on a podcast unless you really, their podcast is good. Those, like, they're enjoyable. Like I listen to Jason and Travis, and they have a lot of great guests on there, and they do a phenomenal job, and they're very
Even if
interesting.
they hadn't have had an episode like this with Taylor Swift, the podcast would still be considered wildly
Extremely
successful.
successful.
Yeah.
Yes. And now it just blows it out. I'm just fascinated to see what happens. What is the fallout from Taylor Swift announcing her 12th album on your show at 12:12? Like, this is all this crazy stuff that she loves, and people just go bananas over it.
I
I
I
took my
I think
youngest
it's
daughter
great
to a
too.
Taylor Swift concert for her birthday, and ever since that moment, and she was probably 12 when I took her to the concert.
Hey, look at that symmetry.
Yeah, I'm still dad of the year for things I really I killed it in that. And I kind of enjoyed Taylor Swift, and I kind of enjoy her now. I don't even know why, but I do.
She's
And
it's great music. Like I've been a bit of a Swiftie myself. Not like I'm not follow everything with her,
when you
but
say Swifty, James, that means you're a Swifty.
yeah.
You're
I
not
mean, there
kind
you
of,
go.
you are. Yeah,
There you go.
you're in.
I'm just saying there's levels to it. I'm like near the
Uh,
bottom level, but I do
mm,
consider myself a fan.
I think you're not quite at the bottom. I think you're a little. I think you're a few rungs off the bottom.
All right.
Just own it, dude. Just I'm a Swifty.
No, I
You
just
just own it. I'm not a Swifty personally, but
it's not about
you are.
not owning it. It's just about I don't listen to much music, but I
Uh,
do listen to a little bit of hers.
I don't listen to music often, but when I do, it's
It's a
Taylor
little
Swift.
yeah.
So, but here's the part, I guess, that was um, the most endearing. I think I know. I think I just figured out why I think this is really cool.
All right.
The most endearing part about this whole episode was her talking about football. She's into it. Like, she legitimately is just has just sucked into being super fan. And she was just like over the moon. She's going around her house screaming and yelling at the Kansas City Chiefs draft pick at the NFL draft. And so she's got this, so, and Travis is like, I don't think I care that much about it. And here she's, and it reminds me of one of my
His
really good friends
teammate.
from high school, whose wife um is a huge football fan, and he's not. And we played football together in high school. He's He's one of the cornerbacks on our team. But his wife, like, she'll put NFL games on Sunday, and he's like, I don't want to listen to this. I don't want to. And she's a huge BYU fan, and she's just bent sideways over um, Jake. Is it Jake Retzlaff?
Yeah, Retzloff
Uh, yeah.
departure.
It just the whole thing is just sent her sideways. I guess it's kind of an odd thing that a BYU fan would actually put NFL football on Sunday, but they do, and it happens. Anyways, I think when you have a female football fan, I think they're much more passionate than any man could ever be.
Hmm.
I think when they like if there's a woman who's into football, I think they're into it more than guys. I really do. I but here's the thing, and you could see that with it was genuine. Like she legitimately has the bug for football. Like she's become a fan of football, which I that's part of what I think is really cool. That it's not some fake thing. It's not some roll your eyes. It's not some well, I have to do this kind of thing. And I think there's a genuine appreciation between these two people for their different careers and their success. And I think there's a real like there's no jealousy, there's no pettiness to it. There's no well you and I imagine in a relationship it'd probably be a little hard where she goes, yeah, I just made $1 billion on tour, and I know your little petri, $78 million you've made as a tight end. I don't think it matters, and with so many people who are super successful and whatever, their ego or their ability to just be happy for someone else, I think, is non-existent. And I think that's part of why I like this with them. But the other thing is, as a person in the public, and I can only imagine the scrutiny that goes on with Taylor Swift. I mean, we're talking about that relationship, and it's a constant topic during the NFL season. Does Taylor Swift show up to the game? All these kinds of things, but they genuinely um, can really just be normal people around each other, and that's the biggest thing I picked up on. That they were not these superstar people. They were just normal people who had a relationship, and clearly they do, and clearly it feels like it's a relationship that's solid, and it's almost like in a world of craziness they can find some like normalcy, and that's what it feels like is going on there. And I guess that's what's exciting to me, because to be that famous, world famous, Taylor Swift is probably up there as one of the most famous, well-known people in the entire world. And to just kind of see that there's actually some normalcy there was just, I don't know, it was an encouraging thing to me.
Yeah,
Well, there you have it.
it's really. I think we found out parts of why it was a cool thing. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Seeing their dynamic, their play out live on his podcast, on the Kelsey Brothers podcast. And I also think that it's cool. There's the people among the people who are not sports fans who caught wind of this because it's Taylor Swift. Some of them have talked about this is a new thing for Taylor to kind of show this kind of vulnerability with
Yeah.
the man that she's with,
Right.
because when she's released albums and music before, it's like it's a very personal thing. She's been guarded about it, and like, I'm gonna do it my way on my terms because I don't know if I can trust anyone else to do it. So the fact a lot of people outside of sports are saying this is huge that she is willing to trust her current boyfriend with this
Well,
kind of thing
yeah.
too, which I hadn't considered, but I think that
Yeah.
that's really cool if there's anything to that too.
So what we do know, whether this thing turns out or not, Travis Kelsey's getting a song. He's
He's
getting a
getting a
song. He may
song.
get multiple
Hopefully,
songs,
hopefully
and I can
hopefully just happy songs. Hopefully
I
they will
can
ask it. I'm rooting for him. I think they're a cool couple.
yeah, only imagine what those songs will be. Tune in, folks, because I guess the album comes in October, and I'm going to tune in. I'm curious, so we'll see. We're going to take a break right now, and it's unfortunate because I have two really, really awesome topics that we're going to talk about. at some point during the show. Uh, and one has to, well, I'm not going to tell you what they are, but they're really cool. I promise you. We're going to get some Camp Kyle sound around the corner. Coach Whittingham had a lot to say. So did his new shiny toy, his quarterback, Devin Dampier. He's driving a Dampier these days. So we'll see how that goes. Coach Camp Kyle sound when the Sean O'Connell show returns here on ESPN 792 FM. Hey, welcome back to the Sean O'Connell Show. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today. He is on break. It's ESPN 792.1 FM. Of course, going on right now. We're in the middle of football, as you heard. 16 days until the start of the season. It's essentially 2 weeks. So we're Thursday. We're going to jump into Friday tomorrow, and boom, Saturday will be 2 weeks away from the start of the season. We're going to get to some sound here in just a minute with Coach Whittingham and Devin Dampier, maybe Jaron Kump. But as I was thinking about these 2 weeks, and NFL seasons are starting as well, and you get toward the end of training camp, preseason, you got a game or so left, and there's always this. It's really strange. The first it's the second week of training camp that's the hardest, because you go through two-a-days, you go through all the practice and the meetings and all that stuff, and at the end of it, you go. Normally, when you're working for the week, you have a game, and when you don't, you're like, man, all that work for nothing. I mean, I know it's not for nothing. You work and you get better and all that stuff, but it's just a hard week, and another hard week is what's happening now, is coming out of camp. You have that extra week where you've now had preseason games or what have you. Now, of course, in college you don't have any games, which is stupid. They really should. They should shorten it up, and they should have more games. Or, well, it's kind of what they should do is shorten it up, and they should have more off-season work because there's so many players moving around. This is a whole conversation I don't want to get into right now, but I will, and I will definitely get into it. But not to. I'm just saying this week, where you have a week before your week of preparing for your game, they're just hard. They're hard because you get into a rhythm, you start getting into that game flow and practice and all those things, and you have a game, and then you go and practice, and you don't have a game, and you're like, oh. And there's a tendency with some teams to where they get kind of out of rhythm, and they start the season a little funky, and they start the season kind of just not quite finding their flow with things. It takes a couple of weeks before that can happen. And the problem with the football is you only have so many games, so you kind of getting out of a flow. It's a very bad thing. You don't want to get off to a bad start at the beginning of a season. Anyways, we move on. All right, Coach Kyle Whittingham, he's got some excitement. There's optimism in the air. We have some Camp Kyle sound, which is brought to you by Jerry Seiner Cadillac, SNS Roofing, America First Credit Union, Mountainland Power Equipment, Advanced Window Products, your Utah Toyota dealers, the Steel Vault, and so many more. There's a lot of people. Let's just put it to you this way. A lot of folks are very interested in Camp Kyle and the University of Utah and what's going on there. So here's what Coach Kyle Whittingham had to say just a day ago.
You Bucks fan?
Yes, sir.
All right.
How did the scrimmage go Saturday?
It went well. It wasn't as physical as some scrimmages we've had. With the ones, we had most of the ones did thud work, not live. And so that was a little bit different in that regard. We've done that in the past at times. And we just felt like that was the best approach for the first scrimmage. Two's got all the live work. They were live the entire scrimmage. And so had some good teaching tape. And I think we're in a good place right now. We're, 10 practices in after today, and 15 more to go, then we're ready to play.
How do you feel about the wide receiver group and guys
that group is coming along? We feel like we've identified the top seven or eight guys that are going to be the travelers, and that we're going to sink all the reps into the rest of the way. So that group is really starting to gel, I guess you could say.
What's it look like with your running back depth as well?
The top two guys will be Wayshawn Parker and Corey Rogers, not necessarily in that order. They're interchangeable as the one. We're also having some good production from Daniel Bray, Racing Guillory, a couple freshmen that really look like they have a lot of promise. And then, of course, Devin is like a running back there at times, and so he's adding to what we're doing. And then you got guys running the speed sweeps, the wide receivers that are giving us supplemental yardage as well.
So do you not see like a workhorse type situation, more of a committee?
Not yet. It's more by committee at this point, but again, it's still early. We got 15 practices left, and we'll see how it continues to develop.
Has anybody emerged in the backup quarterback position?
No, that's tight as it was prior to the scrimmage. They both did some really good things in the scrimmage. They both made some mistakes, and so that's an ongoing process. The competition continues, and right now I would say that's going to continue at least through the next scrimmage and next and final scrimmage, which will be on Friday. And we got to make a decision shortly thereafter, but it'll continue until then.
With both of those guys, I mean, how confident are you that they could get in there if Devin needs time off, or like where are you at in terms of kind of the divide there?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, Isaac is the one that has the Division I experience, and that definitely has helped him and will help him if he's called upon this year. We're not sure how Bird will react in a game situation. He's just a true freshman, and so that works in Isaac's favor as far as the experience factor. But Bird is a guy that is very mature, doesn't seem to flinch when his number's called and when he gets his opportunities, and so we would have, whichever one emerges as the guy, we'll have confidence in him, and away we go.
You've got the 5 freshman defensive tackles that you're looking for help from. How is that group specifically?
Good. We think those guys have a ton of upside, and the position group, the D-tackle position group, is going to be well stocked for years to come. You say that, and with the portal, I guess you never know, but at least right now we feel like we're in a good place. Pupu is really doing a great job. Kafusi kid's doing a great job. They're all doing things well, and they're all coming along and learning and getting better each day. But we think that we're going to have some real superstars emerge from that group.
What are the big differences between Rogers and Parker in the backfield?
Well, not a ton. They're both similar in size, 5'10", 5'11", about 210 pounds. They both do an outstanding job of picking up blitzes. They're not afraid. They stick their nose in there. They're north and south guys, so they run behind their pads well and get upfield. And they both have good hands, so they're very similar. Nakari just has more experience. Wei-Shan's just a true sophomore.
Separation on that final corner spot opposite Scooby.
Blake Cotton right now is starting to make a push, and so I'd say he's got the edge right now.
All right, there you have it. Coach Kyle Whittingham talking about his team. I always like to read between the lines. I know that's kind of a weird thing to do. So I think Coach Whittingham is a very honest individual, and so but he's also a gamesmanship guy. I mean, he wants to share information, but he doesn't. There's a lot of things he's going to hold tight to his vest. And so it's always fun to try to kind of figure out some of the subtleties with things that he says. Okay, and before I get to those things, I just pray that Pupu Sepulona becomes the guy. Okay, because his name is Pupu Sepulona. Pupu Sepulona. Okay, we gotta have Pupu in there. We go back to Tyler Huntley, they sell Pupu. I mean, we have to have Pupu in there. We have to. I pray for this. Please, all Utah people, pray that Pupu. And he mentioned him, and he's a freshman. And this is one of those subtleties that I'm talking about. Coach Whittingham does not talk about freshmen. Does not talk about. He will not specifically name somebody if he's not really confident and sure that they're going to be the guy. Now he did that with the wide receiver, or not the wide receiver, the DB, because you have Rabbit Evans, Scooby, Snow, Smith Snowden, and Teo Johnson, and then it's just that other corner, right? And those 4 guys are legit. Like those are impact players in your conference. All 4 of those players are just in your secondary. Like that is an incredible secondary to start with. And it's the one cornerback. And in the football that I've watched up there and watching these positions, they do have guys. They do have players that can come in and play that position. But we all know that the Utah defense has some complexity to it, and there's understanding formations and how you check and roll, and where your coverage changes by movement and all these different things. And Coach Whittingham said Blake Cotton is the guy that has been the one who has shown that he might be the guy. So that was an interesting thing. Now there's another part. I always find this fascinating. like how you have to manage the tempo. And I think it's a more important thing than you've ever had because of the limited roster, because you don't have all those extra scholarships you used to have. And so it's a little bit of a challenge in how much time, how much practice, because you've got to make it through a season, and you got to make it through a season with depth and to be as healthy as you possibly can. It's really important. There are two things that have been consistent with Utah winning conference championships: depth and a quarterback that stays healthy and makes plays outside of the pocket. Tyler Huntley did it. Team had depth, not as much depth as when they won the conference. And of course, the Cam Rising, that team was very deep. And part of so it's really important to have as much depth as you can, and your quarterback's got to be upright and play, which they have. Like this could be an incredible team for the University of Utah. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens with them. The other thing he talked about is he mentioned the wide receivers, and it was encouraging that he said we've identified the 7 or 8, but we haven't identified really who's who. What we found is guys. Now we got to figure out which ones can actually play, and they don't know that because he didn't mention any names. He has mentioned Tobias Merriweather and a few other names, but he's like, okay, now we're going to sink all the reps into those guys, and we're going to give them a chance to play. We're going to find out. We're going to go through. I talked about this on my show, the Down and Dirty, this morning about the schedule and how it's exciting to go to UCLA, but it stinks when we have to go to Laramie or we play Cal Poly. Like those aren't exciting for fans, but man, they're like gold for this coaching staff because these are the times, these are the games, this is the situations where they can figure out, all right, who's the guy? Who do we have? Who do we don't have? And so that's a really interesting thing that kind of he said, but he didn't really say. Same thing with, he goes, a lot of teaching moments in that scrimmage. Means we're not there yet. So, it sounds positive. Oh man, we got a lot of stuff to really learn from, meaning you made mistakes. It's not perfect. All right. Let's listen to Devin Dampier and what old Devin Dampier had to say.
Devin, how did you think the scrimmage went on Saturday with just the offensive progression?
Yeah, I think the scrimmage went very well. You can tell everyone's getting a lot more comfortable, especially, getting to see our running backs get tackled. It's a little harder to get tackled when we get to those days. So it was just good to see us clicking on all cylinders.
Who were the guys that stood out to you in terms of your pass catchers, the receivers, tight ends, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think Larry had a very big day for him. He's getting more comfortable through it. But, I thought we had a very good day all around. Very limited drops. I think everybody was making plays.
What do you think of those two guys behind you in Rogers and Parker? I mean, they're kind of similar. They both could, beat you with speed. They are both power backs as well. How do you differentiate the two?
Yeah, they're very, 1-2. It's very rotational. So, I love it. I know if I hand that ball off, they're going to give me 4 or 5. So, that's a great feeling to have as a quarterback.
Devin, compared to where you were last year at this point, how do you feel like your game has changed, or how do you kind of assess your game right now?
Yeah, I always feel like the game just gets slower and slower by the year. You get more comfortable with the guys and stuff, and just me being more in a leadership role now than I was last year. Just being able to bring people on, and I think we're building something here. I'm very excited for this game coming up.
Having a strong running game like you do you think that takes some of the pressure off your ability to run, or not ability, but you don't have to take as many chances to try to risk injury and keep the ball yourself?
Yeah, I think football's one of those games you rather when you win with the pass, you win with the run. So just to make sure that they have to respect our run game, our receivers are going to have a field day as well. So it works vice versa.
You have a bunch of experience in this offense. How do you feel the players around you that maybe are new to it? How are they adjusting, and how's the install?
Yeah, I think they're adjusting very well. They ask me questions, what they can do better, and that's just a great thing going into football. When you can get on the same cylinders, it's all about brotherhood and just having efficient plays. So everyone wants to buy in.
We've heard a lot about JJ Buchanan. What have you seen from him that gives you confidence that he could be a guy this year?
Yeah, JJ's a freak of nature. To have someone that big and that athletic, and just at that young age to be able to come in here and work the way he does, big things coming for him.
Rayshawn has said that he wants to put up 1,500 this year. Utah's never had a quarterback that's rushed for 1,000 yards. Is that a goal you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I play to win, and if it happens to me running that ball, I'm gonna do what's best for my team. So if that comes with it, that's nice to happen.
Okay. All right, there you have it, Devin Dampier, starting quarterback for the University. The more I listen to him, more I listen to Coach Whittingham, more I just kind of review and study this. This really has the potential of being a really good football team at the University of Utah. I think there's a lot of optimism, and I think you're kind of seeing that reflecting with some of the polls, some of the things. Things aren't dire at the University of Utah. So very, very exciting to see and to listen to Devin, and he's going to be a lightning rod. It's going to be fascinating if he lives up to and plays like he played at New Mexico and elevates that game to a consistent Power 4 level. It'd be a really good year for Utah. All right, let's take a break. We come back. We're going to talk a little bit about what's the strategy you have with a rookie quarterback in the NFL. This is Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. So happy to be a part of your day. And, of course, we're Utah's #1 sports talk. I'm Scott Mitchell, filling in for Sean today and tomorrow. Fun show so far. A lot of great stuff. Interesting hearing Coach Whittingham, Devin Dampier from up on the hill. A lot of optimism going on there. And I came across this article, and I thought it was interesting that this whole kind of players relating to officials and being an official, being an umpire, being a referee, tough job. Everyone says, no matter what you do, you're only 50% right. Half of the people are going to hate you and the other half are going to love you. So it's never one of those things where you're always right. And I don't know that that's exactly the truth. But it certainly is to some degree. Now, I will tell you, I felt as a player that the officiating in the NFL was very good for the most part. Like they worked really hard to get things right, to get the officials to make the right calls. Spend a lot of time, a lot of communication. If you spend a lot of time at training camp, a lot of time. And they spend a lot of time, of course, with wide receivers and DBs and what's pass interference and what's not and what's going to get called. And you're pretty clear on what is a foul and what isn't. And they're pretty good at calling them. Same thing with holding and all kinds of stuff. Those NFL officials are pretty spot on. But one of the things that you did, and now Coach Shula, my coach with the Miami Dolphins, was on the competition committee. And so he was part of writing and changing rules for the NFL. He was basically the legislative branch of the NFL where they would sit in and write laws, new laws, change your health care, all that stuff. That's what Coach Shula did. No, he was and people thought it was unfair. Like they thought that Coach Shula wrote rules for himself. Just by way of history and information, the long goalposts you see in the NFL are a result of Coach Shula. He was the head coach of the Baltimore Colts, and they played the Green Bay Packers, and they had the shorter uprights. And the Packers clearly kick a field goal that wins the game at the end for the Packers, and it's clearly not a field goal. And had the uprights been longer, it would have been much easier to disseminate whether it was in or out. But you could clearly tell it was out. So they changed the rules and they got longer uprights, and all because of Coach Shula. But for the most part, officiating is pretty good. But what you did as a player is you always ingratiated yourself to the officials. Whether you would know their name, you'd speak to them with respect and with adoration. Wow, that was a tough one. And they were kind of the same. Like they were fans too. And there are some officials, you think of Ed Hockley's or Pat Haggerty or some of these guys that were, Red Cashin, first down. Yeah, there's all these, they become kind of part of the culture of things. And you're almost like, man, I love that this guy's calling our game today. I got to feel good about who this guy is because he's gonna call things the right way. Now Ed Hockley, of course, he was Adonis in his like no one wore an officiating uniform like Ed Hockley. Like he made it fashionable to have the black and white stripes. Like that dude was, and
that was a medium, right? Like just
exactly
tight on him, and he looked ripped every time. Yeah,
and he's he's an attorney, and he kind of like, he feels like you're lawyerly or legally or like
he was
now
very
don't
well
give me this
spoken.
BS because I know the law here, and you're not going to get away with your stuff here. I'm right on this call, so just go on the sideline and take a chill pill.
Well spoken on the mic too. A lot of the refs are, but some of them, you're like, this guy didn't think about how he was going to sound before he turned on the mic. Ed Hockley always sounded good.
Oh, he really did. But you, like in my experience, like I had what I felt like was a really good relationship with NFL officials, and it was a thing. It was a actual thing, and you felt like these guys are human, okay? And if you get in their good graces, there's more likely in a pressure situation they're going to be more favorable than less favorable. There are some situations where they switch officials. I think in high school from one sideline to the other to kind of get away from this, to to be like to schmoozing up to the officials or berating them or influencing their calls, and you see it from time to time. But I had officials that were like, "Man, that was a great throw," like they were
They're
kind of a
fans
little
too,
bit of
aren't they,
fanboys.
Scott? Like that's something we don't hear enough from the officiating analysts, the rules analysts, is that like
Yeah,
they don't talk enough about how much they love the game. I feel like,
yeah.
but
They're
they
huge
gotta be
fans.
huge
Yes.
fans if
Yeah.
they made their life's work being part of these games, right?
And no question, but I mean that if you talk to all of them, like they would do it for free. Now they're paid pretty respectably. Actually, I believe they're paid enough that it's really could be their only job if they really wanted. They've done a good job of taking care of officials, which should be the way it is. It's like it's not like high school. Yeah, we'll give you $20 a game. Like, come on, yeah, you can't be doing that. You gotta pay these guys. So they do a good job. So I just saw this article. Shadur Sanders, his first NFL preseason game, one of the sideline officials was the same guy that was there when um, he was his first career start in college. So it's just a cool thing. But officials are neat. Hey, experience a celebration of cannabis culture, music, and community at the first annual Canna Fan Fest, set in the heart of Salt Lake City at Granary Live, September 27th. A one-day festival of live music performances featuring Crooked Kings, Changing Lanes, Analia Brown, and more. Visit ESPN700sports.com for the full lineup of performances, tickets, links, and more. All right, let's take a break. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Maurice Jones-Drew is up next. All righty, sports fans, welcome back to the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Proud to be a part of Utah's ESPN radio network. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today. So happy to be here. Fun show so far. We had a lot of fun. It's going to roll on from here. If you happen to miss any part of it, it's okay. Don't fret. Don't worry. Technology allows us to catch anything, anywhere, at any time. So if you want to stream it live on your smart device, on any device, you can do that. ESPN700sports.com. Of course, you can get the ESPN 700 Sports app, and you could just carry it around on your phone. I have a lot of people who do that. Listen to me here on ESPN 700, and you can do it as well. So don't fret, because you don't want to miss what's coming up next. Of course, this interview with Maurice Jones-Drew is part of the Big 12 at noon, brought to you by Mountain Land Supply. Visit mountainlandsupply.com today. Joining us on the show right now, none other than 9-year NFL veteran running back with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Raiders. I'm just going to say the Raiders because they've been in multiple locations. Maurice Jones-Drew, of course, he's the LA Rams color analyst. He joins us right now. Maurice, welcome to the show, and how are you?
I'm doing well, Scott. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to be here. I have some buddies who live in Utah, so it's exciting to kind of get out there and see what kind of fan base the Rams have.
Yeah, we're Rams fans here. Of course, we're gonna be broadcasting Rams games on our airwaves here in Salt Lake. It's fascinating. Done a lot of research in the state of Utah about sports and what people like. And the number one thing, of course, is Utah Jazz, or it was, and that's our beloved basketball fan base. Of course, we now have the NHL hockey, but number two in the market was the NFL. And it wasn't like the Denver Broncos. It was like the NFL. People in Utah love the NFL. So there are a lot of Rams fans. Of course, we have locally, we have Puka Nacua, grew up here in Utah, and great wide receiver for the Rams. And then Britton Covey, who also played at the University of Utah. And so not sure where Britton is or Puka, but can you give us an update on those two players for us to start with?
Well, yeah. Well, first, let me say this. I thought you were going to say the number one sports place there was going to be the youth. You know, I can't. Everybody in Utah talks about the youth in Salt Lake. So I thought they were going to be the number one, and then the Jazz, and then obviously the hockey team. But I can tell you this right now: Covey's doing an awesome job with the Rams right now. He's battling for the punt returner job and the 6th wide receiver spot with Xavier Smith. He's doing a great job in camp. He's getting after it. He was one of the top punt returners in the NFL when he was with the Eagles. So the Rams brought him over to try to see if they can add some competition, some more explosiveness to that side of the ball. And then obviously Puka Nacua. I mean, come on. Do I have to say much about that? I mean, we have a whole saying, was it Hakuna Matata, right? Or Nakua Matata. Nakua Matata is what we say, right? And I mean, he just shows up every day. And he got a chance to learn from Cooper Kupp early in his career. And you saw his rookie year where he went, broke all these records and he was lights out, to last year being the man and coming in and being a physical presence and a big wide receiver for the Rams, and now learning from Devontae Adams. And to see the way those two work together, see the way he worked with Cooper Kupp, he just kind of wants to get better and better every day. And so I'm excited to see what this year looks like for him. But I mean, he's been nothing but a pleasure to watch and see grow. And when you played in the NFL, and a lot of guys don't get it early. From day one, he got it. He understood what was asked of him. Like, he did everything. He's a physical blocker. He's tough. He'll go across the middle. He plays with energy and excitement. He'll catch the ball, run through guys. I mean, he is the physical presence of that offense. And so just seeing them, the way they utilize him, knowing that he keeps playing, he's going to have a big payday coming soon.
So, by the way, on the analysis or the research on like who's interested in what sports in the state of Utah was number 3. So it's in the top 3. It's up there. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And look, Utah, UCLA, you're a UCLA alum. They kick off the season here in a couple of weeks in the Rose Bowl. So there's a lot of excitement. Utah became a member of the Pac-12, and now they both separated and gone to different conferences. Maybe we should have a wait, because I went to the University of Utah. Maybe we should have a little wager on who's going to win this game here and see how confident you are in your Bruins going into this season.
listen, I'm completely fine with that. You and Robert Johnson. If you know who Robert Johnson is, that's
I
my
do,
buddy.
of course. Yeah.
That plays for the Youths.
Rojo.
That's every year. Yeah, Rojo. So you and Rojo, whatever you guys want, I'm good. You guys got to come down to Pasadena. We don't got to go up to that thin air up there in Salt Lake. Come down to the sea level where the air's a little bit thicker. It's a little bit hotter there in Pasadena, right off the mountains, off the San Gabriel Mountains. It's a little bit different. So I whatever you want to do, whatever ways you want. We could do a jersey wager. We could do an Instagram. It doesn't matter to me. I'm okay with it.
Let's do a jersey.
Okay.
I want to do a jersey. You get a Scott Mitchell jersey, and that's a hot ticket. It's a hard one to get, by the way, but I have one, and I'll put my jersey on the line because I want one of your jerseys. So I got a great studio I can put it in. Look, we're happy to come to Pasadena. I love going to the Rose Bowl. I'm the color analyst for Utah football, so I absolutely love going down to the Rose Bowl. I was so sad when it was the Pac-10 when you were there. It was the Pac-12 when Utah was there. But man, it was such a great conference and such a great venue to play in. I'm just curious, what was it like for you? Did it just kind of get normal that you played in the Rose Bowl every week, or did you always just go, man, this is a special place?
Well, it's always been a special place. I mean, it's one of the reasons I went there, because you get to play in that and the players that played in it and the big games that have been there. We never got to play in that Rose Bowl game, which was always tough because that's what you want to do. But there's nothing like that grass there at the Rose Bowl and the smell of it. I actually got a chance. My son, by the way, I want to put this out there. My son has an offer from the Utah Youth, which is awesome. And then UCLA, they offered first, and then UCLA offered third after Cal and another. So Utah is big in our family right now because Coach Quinton Ganther offered him a couple of last year. So that was awesome. I appreciate him for that. So understand there's still love in my heart, except for that one day they play. But when we're at the Rose Bowl, it's hard to get used to something that's so magical, right? The drive up, where you stay, the smell of it. I don't want to get all nostalgic and tears and things like that or get emotional, but I just remember waking up, and I took my son to the UCLA USC game, and as we're walking up, man, I could feel the goosebumps starting to rise just because that's the walk that I did as an 18-year-old to a 20-year-old, and so being able to experience that with him and him feel that same way was awesome as well. But I think he's actually going to try to go to that game. So
good.
I think you may see young Deuce Jones-Drew out there at the Utah Youth UCLA game to see two teams that are recruiting them right now. So I'm excited to see how that goes.
Oh man, that'd be a tough choice. I'm telling you, Utah's a great place for a running back. They like to run the football, and they've had a lot of successful running backs. He would fit in nice here. I'll just leave it at that. Put that out there. But and speaking of that, how hard is it for a young player like coming out of high school and all this NIL stuff, and how much, because you played in the next level very successfully, and so that's really where you ultimately want to be. So how much does money, those opportunities factor into a decision from a player coming out of high school?
Well, so I coach at De La Salle High School here in the Bay Area, and we deal with a lot of kids that deal with that. And I always tell the kids, don't make a decision based off of money, because you just never know if that money is going to be true or not, right? There's a lot of times if someone may say, hey, we're going to give you $5 million, but that may be over a 4 or 5 year span. That may be over an 8-year span. You got to read the contract and do those things. You want to go somewhere that fits you, because regardless, and again, I don't believe in the transfer portal. I'm not a big transfer portal guy. I believe in competing and earning your spot and working your butt off. And then when you get your spot, competing to keep it. And so I tell all our kids here that, we have a saying, compete to play, compete to stay. And to me, that's what it's about. And so if you're chasing the money, you're chasing the bag, well, you're going to be chasing that forever. You're never going to get the experience of the college experience, or you're never going to get the memories. Like I remember me and my buddies drove to Vegas one summer, right? And we got lost, and it took us, instead of 3 hours, it took us 7 hours. And having those stories and those memories, or, being able to be in the dorms and go, this is the college experience that you need as you're growing up as a young man. And so I tell our guys to look at that more. Yeah, the money that's kind of cherry on the top, but pick a school that fits you, that you feel comfortable with. If the coach left, would you still stay? And so I do the same thing with my son and things like that. But obviously, the money is enticing because you have a lot of families that don't come from that type of money. And so when you throw in $100,000, $150,000, it opens eyes. And so I always try to tell our kids, like, that money's going to come and go. You got to make sure that you're somewhere that's going to develop you, put you in the best situation to be successful, and that coaches are going to care for you and teach you how to be. And because again, coaching is just not coaching you on the football field. It's coaching you how to be a young man, to go from a young man to a man, and be able to handle the trials and tribulations that come with being a college athlete and social media and school and women and whatever else may come about. So I always try to tell our guys to think about everything else and then let that money be the cherry on top. So hopefully it works out for some people, but I know a lot of people are chasing the bag, and that's why you have a lot of people transferring right and left because they're not getting what they thought they would get, and it's kind of clouding a lot of people's judgment.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and I really appreciate you sharing that because I'm curious about what a dad or of a recruit really goes through and how challenging all that is, and it's great advice. What you're saying is, I believe that as well, and so I appreciate that. So the Rams, they were so close to going to a Super Bowl a year ago, and they ran into a very tough Philadelphia team. Probably played the Eagles the best that anyone did in the playoffs, and they were right there to win it. Can they? Where are the Rams? Can they get back there again? Is Matthew Stafford going to be healthy? Can he get through this year? Because he's just such an incredible talent. What are your expectations from the Rams this season?
Well, I think the Rams are in their Super Bowl window. I think they felt that last year, right? They had two really good drafts. They had another really good draft this year. They're doing awesome when they keep their first round picks and they use them. And so they believe that they're right there. They felt like last year they were communication away. And what do I mean by communication? Well, their center, who's a rookie last year from Arkansas, Bo Limmer, was telling the line to slide left. Guys were sliding right. You give up 2 sacks late in that game that you felt like you could have went down and won. In the red zone, they went right down the field. They were able to go make a play. To be honest, calling that game in the snow, seeing the Rams go down the field the way they did, I was like, oh, it's over. Washington, come to LA, right? And so Jalen Carter did an awesome job of creating that disruption and doing those things. So the Rams said, look, there's 2 things we got to fix. On offense, our communication. They went back and got Coleman Shelton, who had played center before. They had kind of let go, brought him back to solidify that communication on the inside. Bo Limmer is still a rookie. He has a big plans for him for the future, but they were forced to play him last year. They don't want to feel that way. And then 2, they wanted to be able to stop the run. Also, if you watch that game, I mean, Saquon had 2 runs over 50 yards. The first time they played him, he had 2 runs over 60 yards, right? So they want to make sure they stop the explosive runs. And when you're playing the Philadelphia Eagles, that's what you have to do. You have to slow down the run game, and then you have to play sticky coverage on the back end. So they went out and got Poona Ford. They went out and got Nate Landman from Atlanta, who always finds the ball. And they're putting this thing together to go out and be the best version of themselves to go out. And I think the Rams have the opportunity with a healthy Matthew Stafford or a banged up Matthew Stafford, because to be honest, I know a lot of people here in the Bay Area know I grew up a Raiders fan, so I wasn't a big Niner fan, which works well with the Rams. But Jimmy G was good enough to take that Niners team to back-to-back NFC Championship games, to a Super Bowl, and the Rams feel the same way. They feel like Jimmy G is really understanding their system. He's getting the ball out on time. He's very confident in the joint practices they've had, and throughout the last couple of years, he's gotten a lot better. And they're confident that Jimmy can come in and spell Stafford if need be. Now, obviously, we don't want that. You want your best players out there. But they're very confident what Jimmy G brings to the table and how he fits their system, and they're excited about it. And so, to me, I think the Rams are primed and ready to make a run at this thing. But just like everybody else, you have to stay healthy. And right now, you're dealing with the bugaboo of Matthew Stafford, which I know is probably as much as everyone else. He just hasn't been in practice. He's dealing with a back injury, and they've been keeping a lot of things close to the vest with that. But the plan is to have him out there week 1, and if he can go week 1, the Rams will be very excited about it.
The Los Angeles area is so fascinating to me because there's so many people and there's so much to do, and you question, is there a lot of passion? There's a lot of excitement from the fan bases of sports teams out there. Of course, you have the Lakers and the Dodgers, and but the Rams kind of ebb and flow. Where is the fan base like for the Rams in Los Angeles these days?
Oh, it's huge. I think, again, if I'm going to be honest with you, the Raiders have a big fan base in LA. So they've been
Yeah.
there for longer. They've been all that type of things. When the Rams left, they come back. You got to revitalize that, and they've done an awesome job. You know what helps with that? Winning, being a consistent winner, right?
We're so
you see it
shallow,
with
but you're
LeBron.
right.
But it's just true, right? Winning is what
Yeah.
because as a kid, it's so funny. I've had people walk up to me and they don't even know I played football. They're like, "Oh, you work for the Rams. We see you on TV all the time, or this and that." And it's like, "Yeah, I played football too." But they're like, "Oh, well, I love the way you did this. Like, I became a Rams fan because I saw this play, right? And this play is what got me." And that's how those things happen. And so, the more the Rams win, the bigger their fan base is. From the time in 2016 when they came back to LA till now, it's probably 200% bigger than what it was. They probably doubled their fan base. And so, to see the amount of people that come to games, these games now in LA is about who's there, right? So like you'll get LeBron James and whoever else and Otani, and you get everybody, all the actors and actresses and the influencers, they all show up, and it's becoming an event. And that event is watching the Rams go out there and win and celebrate and do all those things, and that's what it's all about. And so, as much as we, the Pittsburgh Steelers have a big fan base because they won so much in the 70s, they won so much in the early 2000s, and they have a fan base because of that consistency of winning. If you talk about the New England Patriots, they weren't that big of a fan base. I remember in the 90s, the Patriots were about to sell their team. I think Robert Kraft was about to sell and move. And then they started winning all of a sudden. You get a guy by the name of Tom Brady, you start winning, all of a sudden everybody's a Patriots fan, right? Green Bay, these teams that won early on, that their family, it goes through that. That's what the Rams are fighting. But in LA, it seems like a lot of people are becoming Rams fans, and it's growing rapidly every day.
Well, I'm a fan. I love, I love to watch great quarterback play, and I just think Matthew Stafford is just such an incredible talent. And there's so many talented quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's certainly changed. Kind of the emphasis. In my era, of course, you were after me. I ended in the early 2000s and kind of started them, but the era was the running game was very important. The running back was very important. And it seems to have kind of faded away. And you mentioned Saquon a little earlier, and he seems to kind of, is he a one-off, or are we possibly trending back a little bit to maybe the running back being more of a focal point in offenses?
It's so funny. This league, the ebb and flows of this league is crazy. Like who they want to pay, who they don't want to pay. But if you look at Philadelphia, if you look at the teams that were in the playoffs in that Final Four, you even look at Washington with Jaden Daniels. They ran the heck out of the ball. The Rams, they run the ball. The Eagles run the ball. The Chiefs, over the last 2 years, have run the ball more than anyone almost in the AFC, next to the Baltimore Ravens. The Buffalo Bills, they run the ball a ton, right? So the running game and the running back is coming back. I think a lot of teams have realized it's pretty and cute to throw the ball, but when you get weather and snow and wind and all this other stuff, that you got to be able to control the line of scrimmage. And offensive lineman in a running game is always going to help a quarterback. I can tell you, I remember Aaron Rodgers, a year after he won his MVP, I forget which one it was, he was like vocal about not having a running game because he was like, well, we can't use play action pass if we can't run the ball. The great ones understand that you need a running game and a great running back there to get you to where you need to get to. And I appreciate Saquon and what he was able to do last year. I appreciate Derrick Henry, what he's been able to do the last couple of years. I think there's some running backs that don't get enough credit, like Alvin Kamara, who, to be honest, has played with multiple quarterbacks and just hasn't had the same success that we want. But it's not because of that. I mean, half his O-line's out. He's playing with, practice squad guys or guys coming off the street, which is fine, but he's still able to produce. I just think, again, the running back position is so important to the game of football. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, you don't get paid and this and that. It's like, no, they get paid, right? And eventually the money's going to start getting bigger and bigger because these guys are becoming more valuable weapons out of the backfield. So that ability to catch the ball out of the backfield is going to open up a ton. I'm excited to see what McCaffrey and the Niners do, as much as I hate to say that, but he's been a staple. He's a guy that I actually modeled my son's game after was Christian McCaffrey because his ability to catch the ball and play receiver and run the ball between the tackles is something special, as well as a returner, what he did at Stanford. So being that type of all-around weapon is going to be huge for that position. But I think it's coming back, and I think we have some really good ones that came out. Ashton Genty. We saw Travion Henderson break a long one for the Patriots already. We have some really good backs coming through out of college and coming into the NFL. So that position is getting back to where it needs to be.
Yeah, it is fascinating how you you talk about like who they're willing to pay. I mean, in my era, it's like the tight end. There was a ceiling, like and now tight ends have become so much more involved in a much higher profile position, and it's kind of that hybrid tight end that can catch the ball as well. And so it is fascinating, but it should be something interesting to watch, to see how these running backs evolve and change, and kind of the emphasis, because you go from like a 3 down front to a 4 down front to everyone kind of switches, and it just flows over time, and it's really, how can we get away with something to be productive, and we'll do whatever we have to, I guess, to do that. um I'm curious. So, are you still doing Monday night football broadcasts for the UK? Did I read that somewhere? Are you still doing it?
I was doing it. It just got bought by another company. I don't know if they bought another company. I think they paid the NFL to do Sunday games, so I don't get to do the Monday nights anymore. So it was something that we started probably 6-7 years ago. The UK, it was a great idea where they would watch Monday Night Football, and during breaks, I would come on, and then my host or co-host would come on, and we would kind of describe what was going on, answer questions, talk to people. It went from football to pop culture. We talked about Taylor Swift a couple times, and I said that Taylor Swift is toxic because every time she'd have a relationship, she'd break up with that person, then she'd have a dope album come out.
Right.
She'd just go berserk. And I was like, that's kind of toxic, right? But then that was crazy. That went over the top, and then we talked about animals and holidays and different things. But it was awesome, and it grew to have a big fan base, and now someone's going to do it over in the UK on Sundays.
Huh. I was curious. Did you have to speak in a British accent? That's what I wanted to know. Or could they understand your English?
Yeah, they could. Definitely not a British accent. They can understand my English for sure, though.
All right. One last question before I let you go. What's most exciting for you for this season? What are you looking forward to the most?
You know what? It's going to sound crazy, but Travis, Jacksonville Jaguars runs through my blood. They didn't seem to draft me, give me a chance. But I went down there. I got a chance to see what they're doing. I'm excited to see how Travis Hunter does playing offense and defense.
Yeah.
It's very fascinating to be one of the first two-way players in the NFL to do it consistently for 17 games now. So to see how he fares in a 17-game season will be pretty awesome to see.
Good call. Yeah, I love those people that break molds and kind of go against the grain, and everyone says you can't, and until someone proves that you can. And so got to watch Travis a pretty decent amount with Colorado in the same conference as Utah. So I'm going to keep my eyes and ears tuned to that one as well. Hey, Maurice, I've really enjoyed it, and hopefully we can chat some more. And I'll give you my address. So you can just mail me the jersey right now if you want. But
yeah, we'll wait till the game kicks off and we'll figure it out. I'll definitely get you a jersey, though, if the Utes get lucky.
All right. And I'm happy to share one with you if we lose. All right. Compete to play, compete to stay. Appreciate it, buddy. Take care.
No problem. See you later. All right. Bye. There
you have it. Maurice Jones-Drew. Of course, he's a color analyst for the LA Rams, and had a great career in the NFL. And he's going to owe me a jersey. So I like it. The Sean O'Connell Show here will move on. Right around the corner when we get back. Locker room placement, where players are actually placed in a locker room. Fascinating topic. We're going to talk about that and so much more here on the Sean O'Connell Show. I'm Scott Mitchell, filling in for Sean, ESPN 792.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell. I'm filling in for Sean today and tomorrow. Always have fun time when I fill in for Sean. Hope you enjoy the show and what we do. It's probably a little bit of a different flow to the show, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of my flow, things I like to talk about and discuss. And so it's my take on the Sean O'Connell Show. How's that? Anyways, I do a show called The Down and Dirty, which you can listen to right before the Sean O'Connell Show from 10 to 11 here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Live Night Events presents a 2025 Granary Live Concert Series powered by Nightingale College and Murdoch Hyundai, Utah's #1 Hyundai dealer. Experience outdoor concerts in the heart of downtown Salt Lake's Granary District. Find more details on ESPN700sports.com. All right, we've had a lot of fun talking about a lot of fun talking about the just kind of different aspects of sports and topics today. You know, we had Maurice Jones-Drew. It's funny, he was mentioning Taylor Swift and just thought she was toxic for football, and his whole comment went viral. Maybe she is, I don't know. Anyways, moves the needle. But one of the things that I came across an article on ESPN.com about Michael Penix being positioned in the locker room next to all-pro safety Jesse Bates. And he noticed, so this was last year's rookie year, you know, he gets put in this locker room position. And he notices that Bates is like taking voracious notes. He was out at practice and he watched Bates, so Michael Penix was actually the look quarterback for the defense, and he throws a pass and Bates actually broke on the pass before the wide receiver did. So he went in the locker room and he says, "How did you know about that? And what were you seeing?" And so he tries to explain and do all this stuff, which started kind of a relationship where a little mentor, little teaching relationship between a safety and a quarterback. Now, Michael Penix probably thought that was just, you know, an accident. And in turn, it turned out to be an actual strategy.
And
so
what a great coincidence. I got put next to this great safety who knows all these things about offense.
Who'd have known, right? So there's this whole debate and question about, do they actually put players in locker rooms strategically? And the answer is yes and no. I've been in both of those situations before, and I can tell you which one I actually like better. But you're gonna have to wait for that answer. Now, I actually like it when they kind of mix it up. Like my rookie year, typically how they've done it is by position. Like this position group sits here and this position group sits here, and they do that. At the University of Utah, they do not do it that way. You're in a pod. You're in a pod with your people, and they're culturally diversified, their position diversified, their experience diversified. It's a village within the actual locker room. And I think that's an absolutely essential part of having a really good locker room. One of the in Utah is actually good, and I'll get back to my rookie year and how that was in just a second. But one of the really important things is you don't want to lose your locker room. You hear people, you know, does a coach still have the locker room? And a way to lose it is kind of what happened with Utah a year ago. Defense played great. Offense stunk. And so if you have all the offensive guys in one part of the locker room, you have all the defensive guys in the other part of the locker room, you have West Side Story. You have two sides of the track fighting each other and getting in rumbles in the locker room. And it's a thing, and it's a real thing. And it's really easy as a player to get isolated. You know, you kind of You go through you wake up, you go in the locker room, maybe you get dressed, you go work out, whatever, you go to meetings, you have all these things. And it's really easy to just, think of the locker room as your locker in school. It's kind of like that. It's like you just put your stuff in your locker and you go to your meeting or you go work out, you do whatever. And then when there's a little bit of downtime, maybe you're hanging out by your locker, whatever, and you're kind of hanging out by the guys by your locker. It's typically at lunchtime when you're not doing a lot and you have a break for lunch. And so maybe you just sit by your locker. Depends on how comfortable the team makes your locker. Like today, they make it like an apartment with some of the room they give to these players. We had a stool. You sat on a stool with no back. And then I had lockers where there was no stools, period.
Except Dan Marino had the chair with the armrest, right?
Right.
Did you tell me that?
Which is my rookie year. Yes. So
certain guys got it back.
There's 46 stools and there's one executive chair with arms that reclines. And that was Dan Marino. Now, the first year, my rookie year in the NFL, it was all by position. But the locker room was one big room, and they had a partition running through the middle of the room that had lockers on one side, and then it had lockers on the other side. And so you basically had just a whole bunch of lockers with that had two sides that kind of had space. There was like some couches and some places to sit down, and then just all around it was the lockers. But then they had this little separate room, and there were probably 4 or 5 lockers in there, and that's where the quarterbacks and the kickers were. And that was the executive locker room. So my rookie year, so I was a quarterback, right? And I'm the 4th quarterback on the team when I got drafted. So I got stuck in a locker as far away from that locker room as they could put me in the actual complete locker room. So I was as far away from the executive. It was kind of like the penthouse. I was as far away from the penthouse when I got drafted.
Yeah.
And I was a quarterback. Like I should have been in that room, but they were like, "You're the rookie. You're going to earn your spot in here. You're not coming into the executive locker room." Now, on top of the lockers, they had their own shower. So there was a regular shower room, which is a weird thing. And so everyone basically showered in this big shower with just, it'd have a post and a bunch of shower heads around it. And it was like prison, you showered in like the prison showers. It kind of felt that way.
So it was a good experience in those showers.
Well, that's debatable whether it was a good or a bad experience. I would say mostly not a good experience,
okay.
But I had to earn the right. So once I made the team and I was, the backup quarterback, it's like, then I got in that room. And they made me earn my keep. But I didn't like that setup for that very reason, because I liked the setup where you felt like you were a team and you were around, your teammates, and it's a real thing, because that locker room, you'll hear the words locker room lawyer, you hear, of course, lose the locker room. And there's a lot of discussion and debate that goes on in that locker room. Like an NFL locker room, a college locker, any of them, it is a fascinating place. And there's nothing like a locker room, nothing. The conversations, the things that are said, the emotion that's felt in that room, the perspective on things. I think as a society, if we'd lived in a locker room, we'd all be better off, quite frankly, if it was done right. It's a really, and people are actually intimidated by locker rooms. I remember Jim Carrey, the famous actor, walked into an NFL locker room and he was like a little sheepish. William Clay Ford Sr., who owned the Detroit Lions, didn't like to come in the locker room, and you could tell he did not feel comfortable in the locker room. But I had one experience, and it really it changed my whole perspective on how important the locker room is. And this example of Michael Penix and um, Jesse Bates was it's a great example, and it's a microcosm of a lot of things. Like you can make and break career. You can really like Puka Nakua. He even talked about it where he said, he was put next to one of the offensive linemen, the most senior offensive lineman his rookie year. That's where his locker was, and the guy just really helped him through and kept his head right as he had this phenomenal record-setting rookie year with the Rams. And a big part of kind of keeping him focused and in the right direction was who he was kind of hanging out with in the locker room, and who kind of gave him that pep talk. Because you sit by your locker and you put all your equipment on, and you got to go out to practice every day. And what kind of frame of mind are you going to go out to practice with? Or you come in after practice and you maybe have had a bad day or a good day or whatever day, and having someone to kind of decompress a little bit with, and you kind of can confide in and trust and help really guide you through a lot of things is massive. And I experienced that when I was in Baltimore, and I was actually lockered next to Tony Siragusa, who I just was like, oh, please don't put me there. Don't put me like I don't want. He's this loudmouth guy from Pitt, and I'm telling you, I loved every minute of my time. It was the only thing I loved about being in Baltimore was being next to Tony Siragusa in the locker room. He's the funniest human being I've ever met in my life. And we hung out and did a lot of things outside of, when practice was away, and I was single, I was alone, and he really made a huge difference just in my life. And I just remember having such a negative attitude when I first walked. I just go, I don't want to be next to this guy. And it turned out to be just one of the greatest, really memorable things for me in my career. And you hear players all the time, and they go, "What do you miss most?" And everyone says the locker room. Everyone. I miss the guys. I miss the camaraderie. I miss the conversations. I miss being in the locker room. And it's a real, real thing.
It
And
kind
it
of
turned
goes to what we were talking about with Scotty Scheffler a few weeks ago when he said before the PGA Championship, when he said, or was it U.S. Open? I'm sorry, it was the British Open. Anyway, where he said that winning is fleeting, right? It's not very sustainable. It's not very satisfying long term. But the reason that reminds me of that is you would think those of us who never played at that level would think that all these big wins would be the things that you missed the most experiencing those games. But it was like it also makes a lot of sense that the relationships you built with teammates and people you played against and whatever would be the things that kind of sustain you longer term than the big wins, right?
It's a great point, and it's so true. I really wish, Tony Sergio unfortunately passed away relatively young, not that long ago, because he would be fun to have on the radio. Right? He just have a ball. He's just incredible, just a wonderful human being. So locker rooms are real. Those relationships are real. Coaches are wise when they set up their locker room in the right manner, and it's a real thing because it can get very cliquish in a locker room. In fact, where it's cliquish is actually in the cafeteria. People sit together by position. They sit together by race. It's very divided, and it's a real thing, and it happens. And so, not so much in the locker room, but so we got to work on the kitchen. All right, we're going to work on taking a break. I think speaking of Scotty Scheffler, I think we've got a PGA Tour leaderboard coming up around the corner here. I'm Scott Mitchell, filling in for Sean O'Connell on the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700 92.1 FM. Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. So happy you could join us on the show. Of course, we are Utah's #1 sports talk. I'm Scott Mitchell, filling in for that Sean O'Connell guy. That old Sean O'Connell guy. He's out broadcasting fighting events. So happy to do it. Happy to be a part of the show. Had a lot of fun today. Just great conversations about so much going on. One of the conversations, of course, happening is the PGA Tour BMW Championship. Of course, this is the playoffs, the FedEx Cup, and it's going on right now. The PGA Tour does some amazing things. It just a lot of excitement, a lot of fan enthusiasm. Scotty Scheffler is emerging as the face of the PGA Tour, and rightly so. He's just been incredible here in this stretch of the career, but they need to work on their playoffs. It's a little ski wampus. It's going on right now. I don't want to poo-poo it because it still is the playoffs, but and we have the Ryder Cup coming up here soon, which will just be epic. Beth Page Black will be the event, and it will be epic. Can't wait for that. But right now, we have a PGA Tour leaderboard update. The BMW Championship, second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs, brought to you by Uinta Golf. Unlock more control with a 50% bonus. Trade in towards Callaway Elite and Apex clubs and 10% off select irons at Uinta Golf. All right. James has a leaderboard update for us. Go ahead, James.
Victor Hovland is tied for the lead with Ricky Fowler at 3 under. By the way, today's round, the opening round of this BMW Championship, they're currently in a weather delay. So it's gonna end a little bit later. I don't know. Sometimes we've seen in weather delays they have to finish the round the next day. We shall see what happens today. A handful of guys tied for third, including Michael Kim at 2 under, just one shot off the lead. Jason Day also in that group at 2 under, tied for third. At 1 under, you've got a group of guys including Hideki Matsuyama and Tommy Fleetwood, some of the bigger names there, tied for 8th, just 2 shots off the lead, and that rounds out the top 10. Looking farther down to see where some of the bigger names are. Shane Lowry is even. He's finished his round, tied for 14th at even. Let's see, JJ Spawn also in that group at even par, tied for 14th. I'm not seeing Scotty Scheffler here.
Uh-oh.
I wonder if he must not have, maybe. So that either means, because you talked about how wonky this playoff format is, Scott, that either means that Scotty did not have enough points to be in the top 50, which I find hard to believe after last week's St. Jude Championship. Maybe he just did so poorly he fell out of the top 50. Or we saw with Rory McIlroy last week, he didn't play in the St. Jude because he already had enough points to secure a spot in the top 50 and qualify for this BMW Championship. So one of those two things with Scotty Scheffler. If you're paying a lot more, if you're a listener and you're paying a lot more closer attention to the FedEx Cup playoffs than we are, you probably already know the answer, but there you go. That is your PGA Tour leaderboard update brought to you by Uinta Golf. Tony Finau, by the way, is not in the field. So it looks like he did not qualify for this second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs.
What the heck? Oh, well, life goes on, and so does the show. Around the corner, Ben Bolch from the LA Times, he's the UCLA beat writer, is going to join us. Of course, we're just over 2 weeks from that epic battle in the Rose Bowl between UCLA and the Utes. When the Sean O'Connell Show returns here on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. Hey, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Proud to be a part of the Utah ESPN radio network. I'm Scott Mitchell, filling in for Sean O'Connell today and tomorrow. We're right around the corner from the kickoff to college football here. We're 16 days away. Really excited about it. If you've missed part of our show, don't worry. Technology allows you to catch everything anytime, anywhere, anyway. You want to listen to it live stream, you want to listen to it in the podcast form, you can do it. Go to ESPN700sports.com or go to the ESPN 700 app. The app is free. You just download it. It's totally fine. We're also on YouTube. You can get at ESPN 700 Sports Utah. So we're everywhere all the time. Anyway, just the way that you like it. We're super excited about the start of this football season. There's a lot of optimism here at the University of Utah, as there is everywhere. I'm sure that's the same with UCLA Bruins. Joining us on the program right now is Ben Bolch. He's the UCLA beat writer for the LA Times. Ben, welcome to the program, and how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm driving down to beautiful Costa Mesa, California as we speak for the second to last day of UCLA's training camp.
Oh, nice. So how has training camp been so far? What's some of the hot news going on with the Bruins right now?
Well, it's an interesting question because our access has been at an all-time low. We haven't seen they've only granted us about 20 minutes of viewing every day, and we normally only see stretching one kind of goal line team period that lasts like 5 or 6 plays. And then they go into some individual drills. So if I told you I had a good read on this team, I would be lying to you. I will say in the few snapshots of practice that I've seen, I've been there every day. Everybody wants to know, is quarterback Nico Yamaliava from Tennessee the real deal? My early impression is that he is. He looks really sharp. He looks like he's got some talent that I haven't seen at quarterback in UCLA in maybe at least a decade. He can throw a dart. He can pull the ball and run. He makes really quick and smart decisions, and you can say that I'm impressed with what I've seen.
It's good intel to know. It's fascinating to me to see how these players move around and change, and how much time it does take for a player to actually get acclimated to a program. Is it a real expectation to say, he'll be just on all cylinders as the season starts, or do you see this as something that will kind of evolve and change over the season? Because Utah's in the same situation. Devin Dampier transferred. Of course, he transferred in spring, so he's had all of the spring and the summer. But I still think there has to be some kind of acclimation to a new system, a new program, and that should take some game time, I would think.
I think from what I can tell, I think that Nico's going to really be able to hit the ground running. Now, that's not to say that come late October, November, he's not going to be playing at a higher level than he will be early in the season, just because of that kind of getting to know you period that you're alluding to. But I think he's going to be playing at a very high level early in the season. From everything I've seen, he doesn't seem to have any sort of like problem grasping plays or getting on the same page as his teammates. They did a lot of player run practices before the start of training camp on campus. Met a couple times a week to get the timing and the routes down. So I think that he's a smart guy. He's a quick learner. Everybody's been impressed with him, and everything I've seen points to him being ready to go full go in that season opener against Utah.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to hear kind of the transformation from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten. What was your one like? Because for me, when I heard this happen, immediately the first thing I thought is, boy, that travel is just going to be brutal. What was the first year like in the Big 12 or Big Ten?
It was a little brutal, to be honest with you. UCLA made cross-country trips to Penn State and Rutgers, and they tacked that onto a non-conference schedule that had Hawaii and LSU. So I think that UCLA traveled more miles last season than anybody. But they, to their credit, they did a pretty good job given the circumstances in Deshaun Foster's first season there. Their kind of trick was to go out an extra day early. So instead of flying out on Friday, they would go out Thursday, go to the stadium wherever they were playing to kind of take pictures, walk around, soak it in. And they had some pretty big road wins late in the season. They won at Rutgers and at Nebraska, so I think it worked out pretty well for them. And as far as the transition to the new conference, I think pretty much as expected. It was kind of like a different brand of football, but I think as the season went on, UCLA started to match up better and better. So we'll see how that goes into year two. One of the interesting things about this team is I just did the calculations last night. The projected offensive line on this team this year is going to be average 6'5" and about 320 pounds. So that'll be one of the biggest lines in school history, if not the biggest. And that sounds like some Big Ten beef there.
Yeah, that was what I was going to ask you. What it's kind of like Utah went to the Big 12 and they were predicted to actually win the conference and had a horrible year. And I think they were shocked at the physicality of the league. That was one of the things Coach Whittingham talked about was like much more physical league than we really anticipated from top to bottom. Every week you show up and they have these physical teams. What's been the difference? You mentioned the offensive line being bigger, but what differences are there between teams in the Pac-12 where UCLA was and now having to compete in the Big Ten?
Well, I would say, maybe a slightly more ground-oriented, not as many spread offenses, but they still like to sling it. There's a lot of really prolific offenses in the Big Ten. I mean, obviously, Oregon, coming over from the Pac-12, very familiar with them.
Yeah.
And Ohio State and Michigan can match up with just about anybody and do a variety of things. So it's not like the old Ron Dane, ground and pound you every down. Like a lot of people think the Big Ten still is. There's a lot of throwing it around as well. So I would say it's pretty balanced, but it is physical, and I get sense that UCLA is kind of beefing up and getting some of those bigger linemen are being coveted to kind of match up.
UCLA has a great tradition, a great brand recognition. Do you get a sense that the program, Deshaun Foster going into his second year, do you get a sense that the program wants to compete and wants to be a factor in championships, be able to go and play in the college football playoffs? Where are the people with their long-term vision of UCLA Bruin football?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting on signing day last year. Deshaun Foster alluded to what Colorado did in year two with Deion Sanders and what Indiana did in the first year with Curt Cignetti. Said you can basically turn over a whole roster and win immediately. So in my eyes, he was kind of putting himself on the clock there, saying there's really no excuse to not be playing at a high level. I do know that, yesterday we talked to Quasi Gilmer, who's a very promising sophomore wide receiver, and he didn't hold anything back. He said, we want to win the national championship. He wants to win the Blitnikoff Award as the nation's top receiver. So they're putting this out there publicly that they expect to do great and, pretty much unprecedented things at UCLA because, obviously the Bruins have never won. They've won a split national title in 1954, but nobody's won the Blitnikoff, and this is a team that has not won a conference championship since 1998. So they're thirsting for that kind of success, but they're not shying away from putting high expectations on themselves.
Yeah, it's clearly with the landscape, the ability to really turn things around. You get a high-profile quarterback you're pretty high on. It certainly moves things in the right direction. Of course, money dictates a lot of the success you can have, but also, Deshaun Foster has a name. Does he have the kind of cachet? Does he have cachet that can really move the needle and draw attention to the UCLA program?
I think so. From what I've seen in recruiting and their efforts in the transfer portal, I would say they've done very well. The class of 2026 has a chance to finish as a top 20 class, and he expects that to just to only get better every year. When he played, they had classes in the top 5 pretty routinely. So he wants to get it back to that level. From what the recruits I've talked to and the players who've arrived, they really connect with Coach Foster. He sells them on having kind of walked the walk of playing at UCLA and getting to the NFL and playing in a Super Bowl. And his message is, if I can do it, you can do it. And we're gonna work be in this together to get there. So that really resonates with the players I've talked to, and I do think that UCLA recruiting is on the upswing.
You mentioned, of course, Nico, the quarterback, and a massive offensive line and a wide receiver. What type of offense will UCLA run this year? Then is it going to be play action? Is it going to be spread out? Is it going to be pound and ground on the ground? What do you anticipate from them?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of that sprinkled together. I think they're going to be a pretty dynamic attack. It's going to feature a lot of different looks. They're not going to be a true traditional spread, but I think they'll have some elements of that. I think they're going to try to run the football a lot. The one player that maybe outside of UCLA that is not getting enough buzz, I think, is Javian Thomas, the transfer running back from Cal. Really, really dynamic rusher who can, break one on any given play. All the reports are that he's looked good in camp, and I think he's going to be a real difference maker for this team. So you had high-level running back with a five-star transfer quarterback. I mentioned Quasi Gilmer. I think he is going to have a breakthrough season. My big question is, can the offensive line that I talked about a little bit hold up? They're going to have 4 new starters there. These are guys who transferred from other places with a lot of potential, but haven't really lived up to it yet. So that's going to be the question for me. If this offensive line is good to very good, I think that UCLA is going to kind of have the season it wants.
You mentioned we've talked a lot about the offense here. How many players actually transferred into UCLA this year? Has that been part of how they've grown it, or is it? Or is the recruiting been part of it?
No, it's been mainly through the portal. It's 30-something. I forgot. I lost track of how many exactly. I mean, they actually added 2 new transfers over the last week or so, so they're still getting guys trickling in. And that's going to be the core of this team, is going to be these newly arrived transfers. And on defense, they don't have any full-time starters returning. So that's, I talked about the offensive line being a question mark. There's questions all across this defense. They don't have a Carson Schlesinger or a Oladejo, who was excellent last year as an edge rusher. So they're going to need new guys to step up into those roles and really make plays. I do have a lot of faith in the ability of their defensive coordinator, Kaika Malloy, to kind of really make the best out of what he has. He's done that a couple of years in a row now, so I don't see any reason why they can't find and identify new guys to kind of fill those roles.
First game of the season, of course, is with an old familiar opponent. We're I know up here in Utah excited to come to the Rose Bowl. Just think it's one of the great events to go to, whether it's the actual Rose Bowl or if it's just a game against UCLA. It's a special place. What's the sense from the Bruin side of it about this first game of the season with Utah?
Yeah, I think there is some excitement about it. I'll be interested to see what kind of crowd we're looking at. I know that the Utes travel really well, probably 10,000 plus in red in the stadium, which I think lends to a great atmosphere. I haven't gotten any definitive ticket counts or estimates yet. I hope that it's really a rocking place. I'm a little bit bummed that it's an 8 p.m. start. I do prefer kind of the earlier evening sunset over the San Gabriel Mountains. I don't think there's anything better than that. But with this game, we're going to be getting out of there around midnight, which is not ideal. But I am grateful for the fact that it is 2 power teams going head-to-head right off the bat, kind of give you a sense of where you are. I know that UCLA has a tremendous amount of respect for Utah and Coach Whittingham and just the way they run things. So there's no way they're going to be going into this game overconfident or taking them lightly. I can tell you that.
How much do you think a game like this matters for a season? Like, is it, it's obviously as fans, we're excited because it's a great opponent. It's a great matchup. It's a great game. But from the perspective of the program, just Sean Foster, he's like, it's so important that we get off to the right foot, we win this game, or is it more about, hey, we just got to take care of our business in the conference?
I think there's 2 ways to look at it. I mean, definitely a good game. You can look at an opening game as a definite tone setter and maybe point back to it later in the season. But it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna make or break either of these teams' seasons. It's just kind of like an early measuring stick, and I can't tell you how many times people overreact to what happens in week one and the team ends up looking completely different one way or the other. So, I don't think we're going to be able to write the book on either of these team seasons after that first game, but it will answer some questions and, as I said, possibly set a tone for what we see the rest of the way.
Yeah, these seasons are funny, and they never seem to tune into or turn out the way you expect them to be. So it's why we like to tune in. It's like why we want to watch. Kind of in the big picture for UCLA this season, where do you see them finishing? What would you consider to be a successful season for the Bruins?
Yeah, I already wrote that the baseline for success is a bowl game, which would require 6-6 and getting to a bowl game. I think that they should aim higher than that. I mean, like if I was really going to be critical, I would say 8 wins before the bowl game. I think that that's doable. I think that that should be the expectation in year 2. But I think that if you get to 6 wins and maybe win your bowl game, you can point to upward trajectory, which has been athletic director Martin Jarmon's big measuring point for heading in the right direction. But like I said, they don't play Oregon. They don't play Michigan as part of their Big Ten schedule. So I think things set up for them relatively well.
Yeah.
They got Penn State at home. I know that's still going to be tough regardless, but when you miss out on 2 of those premier programs as part of your schedule, I feel like it's set up for you to have a good season. So I really think, as we talk more about it, and I think more about it, I think 8 wins. If you get to 8 wins, I don't think there's any question that it was a successful season.
One last question before I let you go here, and really appreciate your time. It's fascinating stuff. I love all this, but what has been good about the Big Ten and actually getting there? Have you seen what's the benefit for UCLA over being like in the Pac-12?
Well, I think it's 2 big things. I think it's prestige/excitement, and then I think it's the money, right? I mean, we're talking about an athletic department that has run up some huge deficits here over the last 5 or 6 years, and really needed a financial lifeline to kind of get out of that and sustain itself going forward. And we're going to see some answers starting, soon, because the Big Ten money just started kind of trickling in, rolling in. So we'll see how that impacts them. But I think that, bottom line, they were worried about having to cut some of their Olympic sports if they didn't make this move. And, how are they going to sustain themselves long term? So this was a big deal on that front. And then, I mentioned the prestige excitement factor. I do sense a buzz, and everybody, most people think that, the SEC and the Big Ten are the premier college football conferences. So you want to be a part of that. And I think that was a huge motivation for this move, is that, if you get to the top of the Big Ten, now you're one of the best teams in the country and everybody's talking about you. It maybe in a way that they weren't as much in the Pac-12. So I think those are the, motivating factors. Obviously UCLA has not gotten to near the top of the Big Ten in football yet. It's only 1 year in, but if they ever can do that, I think that that's going to be something that's really going to kind of galvanize the fan base and really take it to a new level.
All right, who wins this game?
You know what? I do think this is, the proverbial coin flip game. I can see scenarios easily going either way. But, and not to be a homer, but I do think that UCLA has a lot of momentum right now with Nico. I think he's going to be very driven to have an excellent start to his UCLA career. And for that factor alone, I'm going to tilt things slightly in the favor of UCLA and say that they emerge victorious in a very, very tight game.
I wouldn't expect you to say anything different, so I'm not offended. I appreciate your time, Ben. Have a great day and enjoy practice.
All right. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yep. There you have it. Ben Bolch. He's the beat writer for the UCLA Bruins for the LA Times. Fascinating stuff. It's so interesting, the whole Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10, all the moving around and kind of what impact. To me, it feels like, and there's some positive things about UCLA. It does have a lot of cachet, a lot of name recognition, kind of flying under the radar. I don't think there's a lot of people that have a lot of expectation for UCLA. I don't. you almost go, oh yeah, they're in the Big Ten. I mean, I mean, I hate to say that, but it's kind of, when you think of the Big Ten right now, you do think of Oregon. I think of all the teams that came over from the pack, Oregon's the one you talk about. You're not talking about USC. So shockingly, I mean, Lincoln Riley could be on the hot seat at USC, which I just don't understand at all. Unless USC just doesn't really care about football, doesn't want to put. I don't know. It's just weird. It's like USC could just be so dominant and all the time, and they're just not. But the only team they're really talking about is Oregon. I mean, you talk about the Big Ten. It's Michigan. It's Ohio State. It's a little bit of Penn State now, and from time to time you throw in a Wisconsin. But it's Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon. That's who everyone talks about. End of discussion. And so it'd be fascinating. Just just to see this quarterback, Nico Avea, see if he pans out. I mean, who knows? You have no, it's a crapshoot right now, and which makes this game, I think, so fascinating because what I got out of this conversation with Ben, there's a lot of question marks. I mean, he threw out a lot of no returning starters on the defense for UCLA, and they could end up being just phenomenal defense, or they could end up being just horrible. But to not know, who they are, they did make some moves in recruiting, and they did get a quarterback, and quarterbacks can make a huge difference on a team. I think that the headline of this game is who, and maybe it's in college football, which quarterback who transferred is going to have the biggest impact. I guarantee you that Devin Dampier is like, I guarantee he's fired up about this game. I guarantee, I just get a sense that, you've got Jason, you got this whole group of folks, and they're all super excited about the opportunity to really make a splash for the Utes. So, man, what an exciting thing to be a part of. It really is. I got really fired up about the game after listening to all of this. But I don't like his prediction, Ben. No, Ben. We'll have to straighten that one out for you. Of course, he's going to pick UCLA. Actually, those guys are.
That's a good way to not get invited back on the home of the Utes, Ben.
No.
To choose against the Utes.
Ben was good.
Great conversation. First time, I believe, on the station. It's good to have a good that we have a UCLA insider for future matchups here.
Yeah. Well, let's take a break, and when we come back, some really, really fun conversations about things are different for Patrick Mahomes this year. He says last year was an anomaly, which is scary because they went to the Super Bowl on an anomaly type of year. And how do you manage? What's the strategy about coaching a rookie quarterback? Because there's a lot involved in it, and there's a lot of different strategies about how to do it. We'll talk about that and so much more when the Sean O'Connell Show returns here on ESPN 792.1 FM. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today and tomorrow. Oh, I have loved today, just so you know. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. Just so much fun. It's fun to talk to Ben. It's fun to talk to Maurice. It's fun to talk about all the fun things we've been talking about. It's fun to share unique insight and perspective on all of it that I hope you appreciate. So I appreciate sharing it. It's just a fun thing. I really enjoy this a lot. So the ESPN came out with this all-time All-American team. Okay, so it's the all-time from here to eternity All-American team, and so it includes from forever, right? So the best All-American is you had to be an All-American clearly to make this All-American college football team. And I'm going to tell you, as I look through the list, I'm like, okay, they nailed it. Like they got it right, except for one position. Okay. They really, really, really got it right. Now, there's a whole panel of AP writers and I mean, all these people who kind of been around, Heisman voters and, all that good stuff. Okay. So the first team offense, Randy Moss and Larry Fitzgerald. Like, sign me up for those guys. Like I'll have a heyday with those two as wide receivers. That's just a fun thing. Like how do you not have that? Now this one maybe one player. So the tackles are Orlando Pace and Bill Fralick, which is insane. I mean, there's a lot. I think offensive tackle would be the hardest one to, but Bill Fralick was just such a beast in college, and I think part of it is too. Not so much what they did beyond college, but what they did in college. I think that really played into this.
Yeah, this is All-American as in just their college years.
Right. How they performed in college. Yeah, no question.
Which makes me question just a little bit, Randy Moss being a starter because he was awesome in college, but he also, I wonder if they're going, well, he's a Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Famer, and so he must have been awesome in college too. I don't know.
He was pretty good. He was pretty good in college.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He was with Chad Pennington, Marshall. He was pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
Think about having an NFL quarterback throwing to an NFL. It's pretty good. But he was good. But you're right though. There's a lot of guys that had phenomenal careers as wide receivers that that may be as good as maybe better than Randy Moss, but it's hard to not be influenced by the end result. It's just hard to say, well, what's the total criteria? Even if you say it's just college, you still go, yeah, but Randy Moss is pretty freaking good.
It's true. That's why I say just a little bit, because it feels wrong to even question putting Randy Moss on an all-time greats list. Of course he's an all-time great, but it locally at the University of Utah, a guy that comes to mind that I think probably his college days probably get a little overrated around here is Steve Smith, because he was such a great NFL player.
Right.
He wasn't that guy in college.
He was not at all, not even at all. Now the center's an interesting Chud Bednarik. And that's interesting to me because it's almost like they feel like he's probably one of the few guys, he was 47 and 48 in college. So I think the earliest someone goes other than that is like 1972. Right. And so you're like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. Because I'm thinking of Dave Remington, by the way, that they actually have an award named after. Just saying, and maybe Dave Remington, who's a center for the at Nebraska, maybe he was not an All-American. I highly doubt that, but so that was a little shock. Another one, Brock Bowers from Georgia, was the tight end. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now. You want to know who was a great tight end? Gordon Hudson at BYU back in the day. I mean, if you want to go to like prolific tight ends, Gordon Hudson had a pretty freaking awesome career at BYU. Now the quarterback is Tim Tebow. That's wrong. No, I am not doing it. I'm not. Tim Tebow is the most overrated football player ever to play. There, I just said it. I've had it with Tim Tebow. No, and no.
Who would
I'll
be?
tell you who
putting ahead of?
I can think of a lot of guys.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to go prolific careers, Ty Detmer, who was an All-American. Jim McMahon was incredible in college. Jim McMahon was like, I don't think people fully appreciate how freaking good Jim McMahon was. Vinny Testaverde. I would take I'd take any of these guys over Tim Tebow easily. It's not even hard. Like if you take a complete player, and Vinny Testaverde, Heisman Trophy winner, Ty Detmer, Heisman. Here I'm like BYU threw the freaking heck out of the ball, and they had some really good guys doing it. They really did. Charlie Ward at Florida. I might take a whole bunch of those Miami quarterbacks over Tim Tebow. I'm not taking Gino Torretta. But yeah, no, not Tim Tebow. No. Running backs, Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders might have had the best all-around career ever in college football. And Herschel Walker. See, I think Herschel Walker's overrated, but he was phenomenal in college. He was really something incredible in college. He maybe there's another guy. I don't know who you put there, but I certainly put Barry Sanders. There's no question about it. Sebastian Janikowski. Yeah, that's a good one. He was amazing at Florida State. All-purpose Johnny Rogers. Devin Hester. Like Devin Hester's like, and he was pretty good in college, even doing that stuff. I mean, a guy who people don't ever talk about today from Utah, Errol Tucker. Like was an incredible return specialist at University.
That's a good call. Yeah,
it was so good. Like I was being recruited when he was like it was his senior year, so I went to a lot of Utah football games, and man, I was just like, I can't wait until someone kicks the ball or punts the ball to Errol Tucker. Like you almost felt like every time he touched it, he's gonna go score. It was just so fun to watch. Ends Hugh Green, played with Hugh Green with the Miami Dolphins, and Hugh Green apparently when he was in college was just a freak of nature. But I think of a guy like Willie McGinnis, or I don't know. It just seems like there could be, I don't know, I guess. But and Randy White. Randy White was a beast. Of course, tackles, Ndamukong Suh, and Bronco Nagurski. Well, I guess Bronco was a 1929 guy. Come on, you got to find. No, I'm Bronco. Sorry. Linebackers, Dick Butkus. Okay. Derek Thomas. Yes. Chris Spielman. No. Chris Spielman was on a Wheaties box. I don't know if you know this, James. Chris Spielman and I were teammates in Detroit. And Chris was a heck of he was an intense individual. He was the epitome of a middle linebacker. See, and that's the problem is he was pretty amazing in college. Actually, he was really, really good. Brian Bosworth was amazing in college. I think you have but Derek Thomas was too. I mean, but Derek Thomas was a rush end more than anything. Maybe he was better than Hugh. He's better than Hugh Green. And then the cornerbacks. So it's funny. Originally, I read through this list. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with all this. And now as I talk it out, it's like, no.
No, it sounds like you're disagreeing with quite a few of these guys. I did actually know about Chris Spielman being on a Wheaties box.
Okay.
Though, Scott, because I recently finished reading a book about the beginnings of pro football, an until now unknown story of the very beginnings, like well before what the NFL says is the beginnings in 1920, like late late 1800s, early 1900s, and a big part of that story is Massillon, Ohio, and the Massillon, Ohio. Excuse me. And Chris Spielman is a alum of Massillon High School. So and anyway, in this book, you've got different pictures from that area, and there's a picture of him on the Wheaties box. Still the only high school player to be on a Wheaties box, I believe.
So he was a big wrestler in high school. Chris Spielman was, and he would tell stories like, and we're just jaws gaping because he's so insane. If he lost a wrestling match, his dad made him run home from wherever the school was he was at.
Wow.
Yeah. And he goes, I did run home on occasion, but he says, I fought my guts out so I didn't have to run home.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Some people today might call it abuse.
Yeah.
Back then it was like, man, dad's tough love.
Building character.
Wheaties were a thing. Like everyone wanted to be on a Wheaties box. Like it was like same thing with being on Sports Illustrated. Like Wheaties and sports. If you were on one of those two, you were somebody. You were something.
Feels like that was replaced. The Wheaties box in particular was replaced by being on the cover of Madden, and then that feels like it's been replaced too. Like it feels like that's kind of an old thing too that players probably don't think much about.
Insane. And of course, the cornerbacks, Charles Woodson and Deion Sanders. I mean, I can't argue with that. I'll just tell you right now, I'd take those guys easily. There's a lot of good cornerbacks, but man, those guys were special.
Do you remember? It would have been the beginning of your career, or towards the end of your career, excuse me, that you would have played against Charles Woodson, right? Do you remember playing
both
against
of
him?
I played both.
Yeah, you played it. From a majority of your career against Deion Sanders, I'm sure. But
I don't think, even though we kind of overlapped, I might have played 1 year with Charles Woodson. Might have. No, I think he was. I don't think I actually played against Charles.
He was fun to watch, man. Like he's one of the guys that I really admired. It's like at the end of his career, like he spent obviously majority of his career with the Raiders. That's probably the team he's most known for as a pro. But the way, even at the end of his career, he was able to elevate the Packers defense. The 1 year Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl, like it was big admirer of Charles Woodson. Obviously, a Heisman Trophy winner, like one of the few defensive players to do it, is amazing. So, yeah.
Well, I know it's amazing to you, but as an offensive player, it's not amazing to me. See, and that's where I feel bad because he was an incredible player. I just don't think a defensive player should ever win the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
And when they do, I feel like it was a bad year. It's like, can't some offensive player do something this year? You got to give it to a defensive player. And the look on Peyton Manning's face when Charles Woodson won the he was so green with envy, and so just I can't believe
He
that Charles
probably thought
Woodson,
he had it locked down.
Oh, definitely, 1,000%. And it's that athlete ego which we all have, and I could just see it. He tried so hard to be this good Southern gentleman, gracious loser. And he's just like, I hate you, Charles Woodson. I stayed in college this extra year so I could win this Heisman Trophy. It's the one thing I want for the rest of forever so I can do Dr. Pepper commercials. And now you've stole it from me. And I feel the same way. I just don't think defensive players should win it. I feel bad about that. Just so you know, James, I have a bias, and
I apologize for ripping off an old win for you there, Scott. No, I'm totally
don't
totally
apologize
joking.
at all.
That's
It's my problem. Charles Woodson certainly deserves the Heisman Trophy.
I just say it's amazing because of how rare it was for defensive players to do it, to be one of those guys. But
it is.
I get if you've got that.
You have to be
bias,
really special to be a defensive player to win the Heisman.
Yeah,
extremely special.
And Woodson, did he play
a
little bit as a receiver too in college? He wasn't Travis Hunter. No one was, but didn't he play a little bit on the offensive side too?
I don't think he did.
Maybe not.
Mm-mm.
It's a little bit before my time as a college football fan.
Hey, it's okay. Look, you knew that Chris Spillman was on a Wheaties box. I'm impressed.
That's just because of my recent reading material. I'll have to. I recommend it to you, Scott. It's a good one. It's called Gridiron Legacy. We had the.
I absolutely will read that
I
book.
had
It sounds
the
fascinating.
author back when we still did the Sports Saturday show on Saturdays. I had the author on the show and sent me a media copy. Really good, really good little football encyclopedia about the beginnings of pro football.
See if you can get him on tomorrow. I'd love to talk to him. And then the safeties, Ronnie Lott, of course, absolutely, and Ed Reed from Miami. And you can't argue with those guys. I mean, those guys I can't. And then the punter is Torrey Taylor. And I say, yeah, I don't know who he is.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you know Torrey Taylor? I didn't know that name.
No, but I'll tell you who. The guy at Arizona State was phenomenal a few years ago. And he had that. He was accused of, I guess, sexual assault. And it was
San Diego State.
yeah, San Diego State.
Yeah, the punt god, I think, is what they called him in college. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to believe Ray Guy. And the one who apparently was amazing in college was Reggie Roby.
Okay.
I think I'd take Reggie Roby. Seriously, we were team like I was stunned at some of the things Reggie Roby did.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. Oh,
I thought.
gosh.
See, I laughed because I thought you meant the way you said it. I thought you meant I think I could take him. I think I could punt better.
Oh heck no! I wouldn't even try. I'd hurt myself so bad trying to do that.
I'll be honest with you. Going back to Torrey Taylor, who congratulations to him for making this ESPN all-time All-Americans list, even though we don't know who he is. I did the dyslexic thing where I switched the R and the O, and I went, "Oh, Troy Taylor, the former Utah coach."
That's what I thought.
He was a great punter. I had no idea.
Yeah.
No, Torrey Taylor.
Torrey Taylor. There you go. Hey, we're gonna take a break. We come back. Topical trivia, and we're gonna wrap this baby up when the Sean O'Connell show comes back here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today. Oh, what a fun show today. I've just had an absolute ball. Covered a lot of topics, had a lot of conversations about a lot of things that I think are extremely important and valuable. And I think your life would not be the same without them. So just so glad that you could join us today and be a part of what we're doing.
My life's way different, Scott. Just for one, like I can attest to that.
Well, I was going to ask you, of all the things we talked about today, what was the thing that you enjoyed the most?
I think I liked the your stories about the different locker room arrangements and the reasons behind them, and what like it's an area that I don't think fans really think about because obviously haven't experienced it. We just kind of think, whatever, your locker is wherever it is, and you have a great time with your teammates. But it sounds like depending on what the arrangement is, it affects your relationship with the team, and there's some hazing ritual to it for some teams. It is very fascinating to listen to, Scott.
Good call on that one, because it really is. When you were saying that, you think of this, you go into the team for the first time and you go, okay, they go, here's your equipment, we got you in this locker right here, and they put your name on it, the whole thing.
And of course, you're like, that's so cool. I got my name on an NFL
right,
locker.
There's all kinds of emotions.
First reaction, right?
Of course, yeah. And that's kind of how I was when I was a rookie with the Dolphins. I was just like, I got a locker. I don't care where it is. And then all of a sudden I said, oh, I see what they've done here. They put baby in a corner. That's what they did. I was put in the corner, and Patrick Swayze came by and saved me. He said, no one puts baby in the corner.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of like Forrest Gump when he gets on the bus for the first time, and where you sit down becomes your buddy for life. And he sat down to Jenny, the love of his life. So it does have, and I'm not joking about this, it really has an impact on you as a player. So yeah, I really enjoyed that conversation a lot. I'll tell you another one, surprisingly, that I enjoyed more than I probably should admit, was our Taylor Swift conversation. I don't know why. Normally, because I'm kind of the mindset, there's just too much Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift just became a human being to me the last couple of days, and so
this appearance on New Heights podcast really did a lot for her in your eyes.
Yeah, it really did. In fact, so a lot of fun stuff today, and we're not going to be able to review all of it. Maybe you had a fun moment. Maybe you missed some of the fun moments. Don't worry about it, because you can go on the ESPN700sports.com or the ESPN 700 app, and you can gather anything that we've talked about today at your leisure, whenever you have time, whenever you do. So please tune into that when you can. Of course, coming up next is The Drive with Spence Checketts. It's going to be a best of edition, so you should enjoy that as well. I loved being here today. Thank you so much, James. Always treat me right here, and it's fun to be a part and help out with Sean when he's out. This has been the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Until then, we'll see you then.